So we've got the folks who are on Zoom right now. I am working on getting this up on Facebook as well. So if you've got friends or family who are like, I'm trying to get it on Facebook and I don't see it, tell them don't panic. We are working on that right now. In the meantime, I'm going to share this on my own Facebook and then copy it over. Oh, here we go. And we should be coming up on Zoom here shortly. Let's just go ahead and get started. Again, this is the Jefferson Chalmers Mainstreet Masterplan meeting for May 20th, 2021. My name is Lou. I'm the guy behind the scenes and sometimes clicking the buttons. Today, just want to go through some quick Zoom housekeeping. Today, we're interviewing operators for 14326 East Jefferson. We're using a new system called ELECTIONBUDDY. If you're not registered to vote, don't panic. There's still time, and we're going to tell you how to do that. So you'll register to vote. There is a Q&A box. So if you've got questions, please post them in the Q&A box, not in the chat. The chat is a cool place to talk, but the Q&A allows us to filter out those questions, share them with the different groups that are on. It's really useful. And the webinar is going to be recorded and live streamed on Facebook by hook or by crook. Why are we here? JEI and EJDevCo create conditions to directly drive inclusive development and foster growth through the East Jefferson corridor and its adjoining neighborhoods. We ensure that long-term Detroit residents are able to benefit from the revitalization of our community through economic development, implementing clean and safety programs, and preventing displacement. On our last meeting in April, the JEI housing team presented their programs. We went through current project updates. We had a Q&A and announcements. This month, we're going to go through the current project updates first, and then we will go to operator presentations. We've got 2 operators that'll be with us tonight. We'll have Q&A for both of their sessions and then a full Q&A at the end. And then we'll have our announcements. So I'm just going to give you a quick heads up on ElectionBuddy for those of you who are trying to figure it out. You will, those who have not registered, you can use the link that I'm putting in the chat. In fact, let me put it in there right now so that you have it. You don't have to use it right away. You can use it later, just copy it down. We will get your information, we'll send it out to you and you can vote. The voting is going to be open until, oops, not yet. Voting is going to be open through the 24th. So at midnight on the 24th, when it's turned into the 25th, that's when the voting will be over. You can register all the way up through noon on Sunday, and I will make sure that you are able to vote. You'll review the proposals, which are both up on the master plan, so you can look at both of them. You'll log in and vote. You'll receive the information via text or email. And like I said, the voting opens today at 7. So while we're in the process of this, you'll be able to vote. And we'll go to current project updates, and I am going to pass the baton here over to Marcus King. Marcus.
Thank you, Lou. Do I have controls as well?
You got the stick and the mic.
My man. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Good to virtually have you guys here once again. So not to belabor the time, I'm just going to quickly go over some of the updates of our current projects to give you guys a status update. So let's move forward, and hopefully it'll catch up. Yeah, I'm not sure, Lou. I'm hitting. Oh, there we go. It's just slow. Okay. So KRESGE building. So we are some good news that good news happened this week. My colleagues and I, chief among them, Brandon Hodges, who's our director of development. I've been working alongside him. We finally solidified our relationship with Detroit Soul, and so we are beginning to design the interior space for the restaurant. And so what does that mean? So haven't we already done that? Yes and no, right? So what we've been working on this, these past years with the KRESGE building is what we call a base building construction, design and construction period. And that's wrapping up. And so what's going to happen now is that our tenants, just as JEI is the tenant in the rear space, our tenant in the front space, Detroit Soul, which you guys met a couple of months ago, will now begin to design their interior space as well. And so we'll be picking finishes, we'll be doing, picking their sort of color palette, doing any sort of spatial organization things that they want to see happen to make their restaurant function for them within the space. Chief among those tasks, however, is going to be the design and the organization of the kitchen space. We've hired a more than capable kitchen consultant to help us along the way. And the design aspect of that project will be headed up by East Jefferson Development Corporation. And that chiefly falls under my responsibility. So I'm sure we'll have some things as we get this process started. I'm sure we'll have some things to show the community in terms of our progress with that. But that process is well underway, and we are well on our way in total to having two tenants occupying the KRESGE building, and we'll be able to see this project, this building, this asset of the community come to life in its entirety very soon. So let's move forward here. Again, apologize for the delay. This is, again, the rear space in the back, the JEI Resource Hub Center. We are getting one more inspection, a fire alarm inspection, which is going to happen hopefully sometime next week. And once that inspection is done, we will begin the 10-11 week construction for the JEI Resource Hub. But we are getting our ducks in a row and crossing all our T's and dotting all our I's. Some spaces of the white box in the restaurant space in the front. So again, this is that restaurant space that if you saw it before, there was a lot different color palette here. Again, all the painting I think was finished beginning of this week, end of last week, and we're doing the floor, installing the new flooring, and some final punch list items, touch up things, trim things that need to happen to finish the base building space off. And then once that is done, this sort of the base building of the KRESGE building from a construction standpoint will be completed, and then we'll move right into doing the construction for both tenants, that being JEI in the rear, and now we're happy to say Detroit Soul in the front. So hopefully we can all be enjoying some of that good Detroit Soul food sooner rather than later. 14522. As you guys well know, is one of our two projects that are currently in pre-development. We are actively and fervently working with our design team on this project, and the project will show after that. After this, the program is still the same. We're working on a one-tenant bay commercial space at the ground floor and 3 units above, 3 residential units above. We are moving, we should be closing out the DD phase, so the design development phase of this project within the next week or so. And then we'll actively move into construction documents. That's the phase, if you remember, where we work out some of the details in terms of construction and the building systems regarding heating and ventilation, air conditioning, electrical systems, sewage, civil systems, as well as the plumbing systems as well. So that's where a lot of that stuff will happen. We're pushing for that and pushing to have a complete set of documents by the halfway point of the year. So this project is progressing along. And again, once we have a somewhat robust document set in terms of floor plans to present to the community, we'll absolutely do so. But just a couple of palette teasers and color material and texture palettes that we're sort of considering right now with our design team for what those residential units would look like. Thinking about some natural tones, so natural stones, using and adapting the existing brickwork that exists in the building already, and excuse me, and sort of negotiating, excuse me, on how we can introduce some new materials in terms of tile work and other sort of finishes. So just a thematic gesture on what we're thinking about for those units. Again, the units are not designed from an interior standpoint yet. We'll get there, but we're thinking about what these units will look like now, so that when we get to a point where it comes to a need to design those units, we'll have sort of a palette to choose from and figure out what those units will actually look like from a visualization standpoint. Marlboro Apartments, we are closer and closer each and every week. I want to give kudos to my entire team, Brandon Hodges, Lou, as well as Mona Lisa Development, who is working with us as well to sort of all hands on deck to get these projects, the Marlboro Apartments, both 910, the South Building, and 1031, the North Building, completed this summer. We are actively leasing. So I think there's a slide after this that has all the information for those that are interested. The building that you're looking at now, the 910, the Southern Building, is I would say 90% complete. The top three levels of units are finished, aside from some minor like painting touch-up items that need to happen. And we are finishing the flooring and some final painting, I think, in the bottom two basement units. So again, 8 units in total. And then the final piece that I think will really make this project, this particular building, come alive is when we put the historically replicated door, wood custom door, back into the front door of this building. It's not the original door, but it is a replication of what the original door used to look like, as closely as possible. So again, trying to stay true to the historic nature of these, 1920s, neighborhood assets, keeping with the original architectural character, but giving it new life with slight modernizations to the building. So again, this one is set to deliver in June completely. We are actively leasing these apartments. So again, if you have any inquiries, or if you want to, see if there's an apartment in this property for you or somebody that please contact Kim Weaver. She is one of our 2-person property management team at Innovative Residential Solutions, doing a fantastic job. You can email her at her email before you, and you can also contact her directly with the phone number. There's also a link at our marlborodetroit.com website for this project. And you can tap that link and it will take you directly to our property management team, and you can get in touch with them as well. So if you're interested or know somebody that's interested in leasing an apartment in the Jefferson Chalmers community, please reach out to Kim at Innovative. And just some final interior shots of what 910 looks like. So you see a basic kitchen on the left, our new stairwell banister. For years, as long as I've been here, there's been no stair railing in this building, and so to sort of see that sort of be reestablished into the building and painted really makes this building come back to life. Carpet installed in the residential units. And again, if you have any questions aside from those concerning leasing, please reach out to my colleague, Brandon Hodges, the Director of Real Estate. His contact is before you. He'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about this property. And I'm sure if he can't answer that question, he can point you in the direction of somebody who can. So I think that might be our final slide. And there's also me. If you need more information as well on the KRESGE building, feel free to or for any of the other buildings, feel free to contact me as well. My contact information is before you. Feel free to drop me a line or shoot me a text or call me if you have any questions. Lou, is this me or do I pass it back?
I am still in the mic from you, Marcus. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
So we're about to go into our presentations, and I want to bring in Derek Scott to introduce this. Derek is our CEO at EJDevCo and has had an opportunity to meet the operators who are looking to get feedback directly from you. So I'm just going to pass him the mic here. Let's see, Derek.
Thanks, Lou.
You're welcome.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody, or evening, everyone. And we're excited to be hanging out with you guys this evening. I don't see myself, but I think you can hear me. All right. So we're going to have a great conversation tonight with two food operators that have presented proposals that some of you or most of you may at this point have gotten a chance to look at those online on the master plan website. So we're going to begin to share those presentations from each of those presenters today. But we want to take a step back to what we heard, which is what we're always cognizant of and making sure that we're trying to keep before the community is, this is what we heard, did we get it right? And giving you an opportunity to vet those things. So we heard that we want to see quality restaurants, not necessarily fast food. We want to see something like a food court, a business incubator and renovated existing buildings, patio rooftop spaces, and infill of empty lots. These are all phrases taken directly out of the master plan engagement that happened back in 2019 and over the course of the last several months with the online feedback that we've collected from many of you that participated in that process. And so as a result of that, am I driving, Lou, or are you driving? Let's see, there we go. So that's going to catch up to me. So as a result, we started this design, which we've been showing you all at the 14326 East Jefferson building. So this is in between Lakewood and Chalmers. This will be the future home of food hall / ghost kitchen with outdoor seating that will accommodate 4 or so food operators as the pods are laid out at this point for particular food stalls that will allow us to have multiple food concepts. For those of you that have hung out with us in the last community meetings, we did some voting on what those types of food options could be in each of those spaces and put some hierarchy on that. So we've heard some things like brunch, breakfast spots. We heard things like barbecue. We heard things like ethnic food. We heard things like wings and dogs and burgers, something casual like that as well. And so we ranked all of those things. We presented those and came back to make sure we had that order right. And what we did is we put all that information into a request for proposals from food operators from across the area, many of which, we've had either some experience directly with them consulting and talking to us about, what the operations in this project can look like. But also folks that are active in the Detroit market currently have some experience as restaurateurs, and we're looking for an opportunity to operate this space on behalf of EJDevCo. And so tonight we're going to put in front of you 2 of those operators. Of the proposals we received back, we had these 2 candidates come to the top, and these were the 2 that submitted final proposals. And so we're going to allow them to take time, 10 minutes to sort of walk you through their vision, what they're looking to do. And then they will open the floor after each presentation for 20 minutes for you to hear some Q&A. And we decided to do both presentations on the same night so that we could have the opportunity for not only each presenter to hear the feedback that you give the other presenter, but it will also allow us not necessarily to take a vote on, one presenter over the other. So the vote that you'll make tonight is not necessarily we're choosing group A versus group B, but we really want to hear feedback from you all on the strength of each of these organizations, and they want to hear feedback from you as well on what are some of the things that you want to see, some of the questions that you have, so that we can make sure that we wind up in the best choice of what works for the development. So I'm going to get out of the way and make this first presentation with DS. Is the first DSC? Yes, so the first is DSC Hospitality. And so I believe I am going to turn it over to Jonathan Hartzell from DSC Hospitality. They'll introduce themselves and talk a little bit further.
Hey, Jonathan. I heard some feedback off of you. I'm not sure. I'm going to mute myself and see if that helps, but I'm also giving you control. So if you want to go to the next slide, you'll just hit this arrow on the right with your mouse.
All right. We're trying to solve our audio as well, but thank you for that. I actually have a presentation to present. I'm not sure what you have in yours. You have our presentation. We created something else. Can I share my screen? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we'll give you, so you should be able to share now.
I'm sorry, we got goofied up. All right, can you hear us?
Yes, to you.
Yep.
Perfect. Can we share our screen? We have another presentation.
You should have the ability to queue up your presentation.
Thank you. Great. Okay, so our company's Detroit DSC Hospitality. We came across this proposal and kind of we're excited about it. It's right in line with our mission as a company. We're a collaboration of restaurateurs and operators and construction managers who have been in the restaurant and hospitality business, for each of us, 25 years in combination plus a lot of time in the industry. Part of our business and focus is bringing restaurants and interesting, unique experiences, food and beverage to urban neighborhoods. When we first came and did our first light turn on was Detroit Shipping Company, came in the Midtown area. Since then, we've purchased several smaller buildings, are in mid-effort of converting from liquor store to something different, a little bit vibrant, a little bit food, entertainment with small beverage packages. Let me scroll through this real quick. So our company experience and qualifications. DSC Hospitality understands the food and beverage industry and the landlord-tenant relationship. We utilize relationships with other industries, locally and from around the country. We adapt and right-size operating model to fit the project. We consider all locations, market demand, programming for every project. So we kind of look at all the neighborhoods and the areas that we're interested in, and we understand that you can't just put the same operation and experience in each neighborhood, because different sizes and different cuisines and different experiences fit the neighborhood at different times. So throughout our team, we take time to vet an opportunity, and we just ask ourselves, what's going to make sense, what's going to work in that space. Our background, again, in development and construction management. We have a couple partners, which I'll get to in a minute, that have been in the food and beverage industry for a long time. Sorry, I'm kind of goofed up on this presentation. I apologize. I'll just go through the team real quick. John Hartzell, which is me. So I own and operate Detroit Shipping Company. 2015, decided that I was going to do a food hall, and I really wanted to bring it into Detroit. At the time, I had earmarked Corktown, and just through a lot of development pieces and working with the city, and it just didn't make sense. What made sense was finding that spot on Peterborough in the Midtown area, south of MLK, north of Temple, that was going to support the other businesses that were in the space, the Peterborough restaurant, K9 to 5, and eventually supposed to be another restaurant there that hadn't come. But we were looking to cluster several businesses together to bring more walkability to that block that had previously not really had any business activity. 2018, we opened that business, which since then, it really has turned over the block. And now regularly we're seeing about 200,000 patrons coming through that space. And even through COVID, when events stopped in the city and people weren't working in the city, we were able to program an experience that made sense for the community around, that felt comfortable coming and dining in our space. And we opened up, the back patio that allowed for open air dining. And, we were able to keep, all of our 7 businesses inside, viable, and their lights are still turned on. And we really worked through the whole experience of COVID as a group to figure out what made sense. And as the market changed and turned, we all as a group worked together to keep things functional to a point where we're starting to turn the corner and things are getting back to normal. And our restaurateurs are seeing, the time they put in last year really prosper for themselves. Sorry. Part of our team that's coming to this program is Crystal Nymph. She couldn't be on the phone today, but she was a general manager for the first 2.5 years at Detroit Shipping Company. She ventured to find, launch her own operation out of shipping company from that experience. And we found that what she was doing was really in line with what we were hoping for. We really liked the experience having her with us. So when we found this project on East Jefferson, I contacted her, and she was more than excited to say, let's go at this together. So she's earmarking this as her flagship next spot. So at Detroit Shipping Company, she oversaw hiring, onboarding, training. She handles all like the health department, liquor license, insurance requirements. Really, she's the person who operates the front of the house, and then really works with outside vendors coming in and a lot of the event-driven spaces that we did. So she'll be our main touch point in the facility. Then we're also partnering with one of our restaurateurs from Detroit Shipping Company, which is Max Hardy. Max has been one of the strongest marketers, promoters of the space. In restaurants and food and beverage spaces, people overlook the importance of presence, and Max never has. He really is a beacon of light and driving people to a space. Max came to us. He was born and raised in Detroit, and went through culinary school and spent some time in Miami. I believe in Miami, he made some great connections, wrote a book with Amari Stottlemyre, and then moved to New York and took his skills there and really prospered there. And all that time, he kept his eye back on Detroit, wanting to bring the culinary art back there and kind of teach the business of running a restaurant to the community he grew up in. And so when Detroit Shipping Company opened up, he decided to launch Coop out of our space. And from there, he's really been able to maximize his impact in the community. He believe he got Restaurateur of the Year last year, and really earmarking how much charity and time he spent. He's constantly catering and putting time into, small communities, shelters, and feeding people around him. I believe his full kitchen is Detroit-based staff, and it's the same staff he started with 3 years ago. So Max is coming in to be a partner on the deal with us and really work on, teaching the marketing promotion side to the operators in the space, supporting the vendors and helping them work with their menu and pricing and understanding price points and that. So really excited to partner with him on that. Then our staff at DSC Hospitality, has some supportive roles. We're also connected to, or a development company, beyond just being restaurateurs. So Brendan Edwards is one of our partners. He's spent time in Mexico, Japan, Chicago, and Detroit. Recent stint at Gold Cash Gold, and now he's going to be launching out of Craftwork, which we just purchased, the Metropolitan Variety Store Bar and Kitchen. Rick Stanzo, one of our partners, he's been 25 years in construction management, and he understands and design. He understands, the cost structures and pieces of creating a restaurant. A lot of times restaurants, overspend on the front end because they don't know the cost points of key items that really turn back and pay you back and make a business viable. So it's really important to have a strong back end understanding how much money you're spending on the front end, so that a business and operation, which works on thin margins already, can actually function. And we have Kirsty Hardy, part of our economic development team. She really works on the financial side for us and helps us, looking at the numbers, underwriting, key performance pieces, and ultimately keeping us all in line. So I already mentioned a few of our current projects. The Detroit Shipping Company is one of the most pertinent that applies to what's going on in East Jefferson. In that space, when we built it, we honestly built it. The original design was something more similar to what the EJDevCo group was doing. We really liked small and lean, where you can really maximize the space for the restaurateurs, and target clean dining was like something simple outside, right? Just open air space. You're not overspending on a unit and space for the kitchens and restaurateurs, but you're able to give ambiance in a space that is experiential for the patrons. Through that, we also understood that the important part is we're designing a building, but we're also designing a community and a space, because your community, not only what's around the business, but also who's in the business, right? And so our vendors and our employees, we really take time to curate and care for who we have inside the building. Detroit Shipping Company, I believe we had over 100 plus applications for food, of which it didn't matter to us exactly who could spend the most and be the best tenant on a fiscal side. It mattered more so as, are we representing the community around us? Are we diverse? Are we a sphere of influence that combined together really supports each other? And that was extremely important to us. So we spent about 2.5 years on that, trying to put together the correct team, which we feel we really did a really nice job. And the group of people, when you're working in such tight corridors, have to really be collaborative, have to work together. And it's a really important piece, is putting that mix together. All right, and then part of our operation inside is that we're generally programming a lot of secondary items, right? Because food is one part of it, but in a space, people can only eat that same chicken sandwich so many times. And we need to provide drivers and experiences for people to want to come and re-experience it. And of course, they'll eat that same chicken sandwich because it is delicious, right? So we're always partnering with neighborhood groups on charity fundraisers. We're doing holiday meal giveaways, neighborhood cleanup projects. You're part of the community when you're in there, and everything reflects on each other, correct? Shipping Company, one of the big pieces we did during COVID and just the whole narrative last year is we have a retail shop that had formerly housed a t-shirt shop, and during COVID, they couldn't stay afloat during that, so they just decided it wasn't worth it to stay open. And so we decided to turn that space over for 1.5 years and gave away the space free to Detroit-based African-American retailers, and they've been operating out of the space weekly. Generally each month over the winter, it's been a different vendor. I believe David Vintage now is just taking up shop because he's just a great guy to have in there, and so he's going to run it the rest of the year. I mentioned other projects is we just purchased the Craftwork space, of which we had a concept that we've liked for a while. There's again, Brendan Edwards is someone I mentioned earlier, but Ashley Price is another operator that we've really been keen on doing something with. He was the main curator out of Holiday Market, and he came to us about 1.5 years ago and said, if you guys wanted to operate a boutique, high-end liquor store that really curates well, I'd love to run it for you. And of course, we said, listen, we'd love to help you operate your own business. And so him and Brendan partnered up, and they're opening up their first store together in West Village in about a month and a half. And over the last 6 months, we've worked through, different items it takes to open and operate, especially a mixed business where you have multiple different liquor license and sales points. So anyways, talking about our operation strategy and comprehensive diversity. So again, we kind of look at things in multiple ways. It's not just selling a widget or selling a nice piece of chicken sandwich. There's a lot of layers to operating a business, right? Because ultimately, if you don't engage the community and you're not part of the community, they won't engage you back. And then that's why a lot of restaurants shutter. And it's one of the biggest businesses that have closed doors. There's a whole long dialogue on that, but just intentional, inclusive hiring. We believe the best way to create a space that's welcoming people from all walks of life is to hire people from all walks of life. We are intentional in our hiring. When our patrons visit our space, we want them to see themselves in our staff, and it's extremely important, right? Multiple points of interest. Again, I mentioned, Detroit Shipping Company. We layer a lot of different things at once. We have an art gallery, a music stage, food, bars, sand volleyball, and then just events the whole time. We see that as a great experience we can put in play here at the EJDevCo site, especially with the outdoor patio dining. That's a great 8-season space where, I'll get to a little bit of programming later, but it just really can drive a community when you have, open market, you have live music, you have, dog nights, you have family nights. You can just do a lot of things with that open space, and really programmatically, that's what makes a space important in a community, right? Sense of community. Our approach to programming also creates opportunity for partners in various groups, so like local artists, galleries. So again, just trying to pull in, the community around you, and if you support people around you, they'll support you back. So Detroit Shipping Company, we have 2 art galleries, so we can see how we can bring that same kind of narrative into the EJDevCo site, where we can start partnering with, Wayne State's art department and their culture department, their theater groups, and you can start bringing in different small groups for small performances, give up the stage for a night, and let them have that space. In a neighborhood, when especially the young come out and they can experience that as a young person, for the next 10 years and 20 years, they want to come back and bring their friends and family. And that's what really gives longevity to a corner in a space in a community, is when the younger generation cut their teeth there, right? And they have experiences, they want to bring their friends back and their family back and for years to come. In a together mentality, again, I can keep repeating the same things. It's really, it matters. When we bring in the vendors for the space that you're working with, it's not a tenant leasee relationship. It's more so that you're in a dorm room together, right? And you're sharing the same bathroom. And so you all got to make sure that you're picking your underwear up. It sounds so cheesy, but the reality is you are together. And, at Detroit Shipping Company, again, I'll bring that up, but we've shared employees, someone's short staffed. We had a couple of guys who aren't on tonight, come on over, and we just share and we work together in community. I know you guys give me 10 minutes. I'm killing it. Sorry. I'm almost there.
Jonathan, yeah, I want to give the community a chance to chime in and ask some questions and for you to get some feedback. So if we could just take a moment for that. So I'm looking to see, we've got one person who definitely has their hand up, Gwen Peoples.
Lou, why don't we let him hit, like Jonathan, can you get through the last few pieces, like the outdoor programming really quickly, maybe like a minute or two, and then
I'll rock it. Sorry, I'm long-winded. I apologize.
No worries.
Yeah. Outdoor programming, guys. There's a great bit of land pinned between 2 brick walls that screams charming and screams, I want to sit there and have a chicken sandwich. So in that space, so we envision some regular programming. And the design concept we would see is you'd have a small stage. And then along the northeast side, I believe it'd be, I could see some containers going across there that are simply powered and dry spots for pop-up retail that can come in on a Thursday, load it up, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you rock a market all weekend, plus seeing maybe once a week, maybe Saturdays or Sundays, you're doing a farmer's market in that space, just there's a lot of, you know, communal farms in the area that you'd be able to come out and really be part of that. It would help with the vendors too. We'll have partnerships with the restaurateurs and they could all collaborate there. I apologize. I've been so slow. So really pop-ups are important to us. Live music, again, limited food runs, flea markets. We do an event at shipping company that we would love to bring into the space, more kitchens, more chefs doing it, full plates, full hearts. Thanksgiving, we shut down the space. Chefs and you know, any of the anyone that volunteers come on. Detroit Shipping Company, we did 300 plus meals last year. And I can see adding these 3 to 4 kitchens, we can get to 600 meals and really rock that space out with that. So that'd be really exciting to me. Local regional partnership. Again, this slide here is just kind of showing how everyone's interconnected and combined. We're like just a big sphere of influence that really expand together, right? So when you combine multiple chefs and local artists and you start doing events with the local shelter, you know, like Detroit Shipping Company is right next to K9 to 5. We'll find some local place right next to it. And you start doing events together, you start growing and branding together. And that's what really builds community. All right, that was a blitz in the last 3 pages, sorry. So anyways, guys, thank you guys for the consideration. Really would love to field any questions.
So Gwen Peoples has had her hand up patiently. Ms. Gwen, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have a great concern. We keep saying how there are going to be 3 different venues placed in the KRESGE building for restaurants. 3 different things going on. Will people be serving different foods at the same time? That's one question. And with our scare of not making sure that things are disinfect, clean, you're going to have each section will have their own private place to wash their dishes, or how are they going to be in 3 places as small as the KRESGE building and serve people and disinfect properly?
So
I'll make one quick clarifying point. So great, thank you for the question, and COVID implications are definitely really important. So the property we're talking about is not the KRESGE building, but it is the 14326, a few doors down from KRESGE. But if you see the site plan here, the way, and let me see if I can, yeah, there you go. Somebody zoomed in for me, and slide over maybe just a little bit.
New device, sorry.
No worries. So if you look at these 4 squares, these are 4 individual stalls for individual food operators. So each of the 4 individual food operators will have their own separate stalls where there's separate mechanical units that are designed in each of those as well. And so those are separate isolated stalls that each have kitchen equipment, cooktops, and the appropriate equipment for each of those restaurant operators to operate out of. For the dining space that you see, it spills out into the outdoor patio out here. So there's only really like a few tabletops that you see inside the building. Those 3 that are there, those may stay, those may go away. But the idea is this place is as much of a sort of a pickup and grab and go, where you can come into the front entrance and grab, but also be able to sit out on the outdoor dining space, and where there's a lot of ventilation and a good circulation for social distancing, but also being an open air space with the ability to close that outdoor space. And that's still being designed and sort of was in that process. So that's the goal, is to have, you know, a space that people can move through, and it's, you know, sort of designed in a way that it's embracing this idea that we're going to have more flexible spaces where people can social distance, move through a space and circulate through a space, and maybe not dine in an interior space. So that's one of the big goals to try to accomplish here.
And if I could join in that as well, is the design point's great here, where they do have individual kitchens, and you'll find that the vendors are spending most of their time in their space. I suspect based on the size and my experience, there will probably be a communal share washroom in the back, but it won't be populated by people all at the same time. You know, kitchens kind of work in a way in which they're pretty rhythmic, and they'll all have their own time and space to be in places. And then what the world doesn't know, it's a little secret, is that restaurants have been cleaning and disinfecting and washing their hands almost more than most businesses for a long time. And so it's been, actually, the COVID's been great in the sense that it's brought the rest of the world to catch up to us restaurateurs. We have clean hands.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. Ingrid Green has a question. I'm just gonna allow her to talk so she can ask her question. Unless she doesn't have the question anymore. Where'd you go, Ingrid? Oh, there you are.
Thanks, Lou. Now I'm thoroughly confused because Gwen asked her question. I was like, wait a minute. So Detroit Shipping Co. is not looking at putting 3 chefs in the space that Derek Scott just spoke about. You're looking at a different space that's empty, that's currently vacant land, not this one. Did I get that? I have a follow-up question, but did I get that right?
No, so if you go back to the rendering, Lou, so we're talking about the building at 14326,
Right.
which is this long shotgun building. So it is this building.
Okay.
Where we'll go into, and then the adjacent lot, the vacant lot, is where the outdoor patios.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now it clears the bell. I got it. That was my question. I was like, okay, which piece of, yeah, I got it. I'm clear. I got it.
All right. Other questions?
I think Ingrid had a question earlier about your presentation. It says your presentation didn't mention much about Jefferson Chalmers at all. How do you apply any of your operation strategies to Jefferson Chalmers?
So part of this is just an entry, right, of what we can do in your space. And if we're, you know, us or the other group, whatever group you go with, they're going to engage your community, right? We're going to spend, you know, time in different charity groups. We're going to spend time at different community spaces, and we're going to spend time connecting with the community to understand what everyone wants. So both groups are going to end up having that same experience. You'll find that, you know, we got to understand, A, operationally, is 3 chefs viable, 4 chefs viable, and on that level. B, you know, on the outdoor space, what is the community looking for, right? And EJDevCo is already working, you know, pretty well with the community and starting to source and understand programmatically what everyone's looking for. And so we're going to work through them, and then again through community engagement to understand what's appropriate.
Ted has a question for you, Derek. What used to be here before it became vacant?
This was an old fish market. And so it's old shotgun building. The fish market is, so there's some other folks on this call that knows better than I when that actually shuttered, but the property's been vacant for approximately a little over 9 years now. So I saw Lynn ask a question, and I can clarify that one. So it says, so DSC would be taking over the management development of the space as opposed to JEI. So the 2 operators that are presenting tonight, EJDevCo is the developer of the space, and you know, as real estate developers, we're not operators of restaurants, and we don't imagine ourselves to be, right? There are folks that are really smart and skilled in that, right? We know how to develop buildings, you know, design them, get them online, and do the construction and then tenant them. So the operations of this is really important moving forward with managing sort of the who those operators are in the spaces, as well as sort of how the operations of the space works, from programming to staffing, you know, those things that some of you have highlighted, how the space gets cleaned up, you know, what's the management of the space and the programming overall of, the outdoor space, what are the community events that can happen in the space, what are the activations that can happen. So that's where we've turned to operators who are versed in the market to be able to do that for us, because that's not our wheelhouse, and we don't want to get into the business of operating restaurant spaces. Any other questions specifically for DSC before we pivot to the next group? All right, so I want to.
Derek, there is a question from Facebook. How will the getting to know the community take place?
All right, Jonathan, do you want to speak to that?
Again, it's all going to start with JEI and Jefferson. That group, we're gonna take lead from them. So whatever operating group comes in is being hired by that group, and they're going to kind of set the table to, the original involvement, I guess, the original interactions. I think through meetings like this, these really make sense, right? Where there's public forum, public conversation. And at DSC, Detroit Shipping Company, our first few entry points were to connect with local churches and just kind of get experiences that way, because that's generally community-driven groups, and generally groups that care about the space. And then, like at that space, we went through Midtown Inc., which was essentially equivalent to the Jefferson East guys. So you go through groups like that who can help navigate and get in the right space to get the right audience, and you just start getting a feel for what makes sense. Very organic. It starts growing from here.
Perfect. Thank you. And Paulette Foster, one of our founding board members, it's great to see her on. She just confirmed that the fish market closed in 1997. So that building's been shuttered for quite a while now. So this would be a good activation after a 24-year hiatus. All right, so with that, I want to thank Jonathan and the DSC team for a great presentation. We're going to pivot over to our second proposal from another operator, Sunday's Best. And so I am going to turn it over to Nico and his wife, who they as well have been very involved in this process over the last several months. And so we were happy that they submitted a proposal as well to participate in this. So with no further ado, we'll turn it over to Nico to present.
Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? So I am Megan Ahey. Nice to meet you. I am Nico's wife. I'm going to be leading off the conversation tonight. So I guess first and foremost, I want to say, wow. We feel very honored to even be part of this discussion and part of this conversation, and really part of the consideration as operators. We're definitely in good company. With Detroit Shipping Co., you guys have had a ton of success and definitely are doing something right, being able to withstand all of the businesses, keep all of the businesses running and withstand the global pandemic that we've been through is a true testament to your operations and your culture. So congrats. And we're just really excited to be here tonight. So a little bit about us. We're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, a little bit about Sunday's Best, our history, where we're headed, and why ultimately we are super excited about this opportunity and this development. So to dive right in. So I'm Megan, and you'll obviously at the end get I'm sure as most of you have saw, get a full bio of us, but I'll just give you a high level overview of myself, and then Nico will do the same. So I am a seasoned project manager. I have spent the last 15 years in both the corporate and the nonprofit space, managing different projects with vast scope and scale and different stakeholders. And I have taken that skill set. I think one of the things that I pride myself on is really being able to look at the big picture of a project. So the intention and the scalability and ultimately the measure of success. and also simultaneously focus on the nitty-gritty details. So that's one of the roles of a project manager, to cross all of the T's and dot all of, cross all of the T's, dot all of the I's. And that's something I think that is unique, and it's something I pride myself on. So I've taken that skill set and that experience and my true entrepreneurial spirit and the love of Detroit that both Nico and I share, and we founded Sunday's Best. So when we started, we were a traditional, well, I guess I shouldn't use the word traditional, but we were a standard pop-up service. So pop-up lunch service. We have a great partner through kind of our past business experience that facilitates different lunch services in all over Metro Detroit. So all different types of buildings, whether they be multi-use, commercial, residential, healthcare, all different. And that is where the idea, we saw a gap in the market. We are obviously brunch focused, breakfast and brunch focused. And while we started as a pop-up lunch service, we have grown very fast. Through COVID and through the pandemic, we, obviously had to pivot and change some of our business model. And we also saw some organic opportunity for growth. So we have pivoted a little bit, but we have expanded and we are in full growth mode. We are, obviously so to give you a little bit of background, we were really fortunate to start through the accelerator program at Eastern Market. So that is where we are housed. We are currently in Shed 5, and we were lucky enough to, as I like to say it, accelerate through the accelerator program. And so we have really grown out of our space that we're currently in, and we are building an additional space, and we have signed a, long-term lease with Eastern Market, and we are very vested in the community, and we just absolutely love it down there. So, I will kind of pause for a second, because that leads me to Nico is the operator of Sunday's Best. So he really manages the day-to-day operations of our business. And I will let him share a little bit of his background as well.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Nico. So basically started at the age of 14 in the restaurant business. I was a busboy, a dishwasher, I've waited tables, I've done cooking, and I've kind of worked my way through all of that. I spent a good part, about a decade, working in in retail space that was highly focused on customer service. So we were a retail jewelry store that won actually the 5 Diamond Award for the first retail store to ever get that, or jewelry store to ever receive that award. And it was really just based on the customer service and really going above and beyond and making sure that everyone feels like they're part of the family and they're involved in the business with us. So I spent a good time learning the customer service and learning like the entrepreneurial and the business side of things there. And then from that point on, I owned a couple different franchises, some Subway restaurants, Mama Luca's Pizzas, frozen yogurt places, and kind of some traditional franchises that we went through. And as we got closer to Sunday's Best being born, we really wanted to branch out and do something that was from scratch. I really liked the idea of just making stuff from scratch with good, real ingredients and buying locally sourced products. So we source all of our products right from Eastern Market, or the good majority that we can anyways, of the produce and the meats and cheeses and things right down there. So we're able to help and support some local vendors and really use that in our business as well. From there, we've been doing that now for a while. We also started from Sunday's Best, and I'll show you a little bit later on about how we've branched out and added some other restaurants underneath the Sunday's Best umbrella that is really that
help to grow
our business. And yeah, so I'll let you take back over.
So to speak to this slide a little bit more, I think that what really made us super excited about, so to back up, through our partnership with Eastern Market, we met the EJDevCo team, and Nico was a little bit closer to some of the initial conversations about, the design and development. And we think that really ultimately what drives success in a business or any, really any organization is culture. So number one, we identified, the opportunity with the culture and being aligned with that culture with the different teams. So with our team internally and the EJDevCo team. And really that was what number one kind of check to make sure that we could even move forward on, on the project. And second, the glaring opportunity was that this area, to give you a little bit of background, we are both from the Grosse Pointe area, and we were raised in that area, but we have spent a ton of time in the city of Detroit. And so I say our early life is in Grosse Pointe, but our later, and current life is really focused in the city of Detroit. And so driving back and forth, as you can imagine, a lot from Grosse Pointe to Detroit down Jefferson, we identified this area as a need for development and really a need for community engagement. So beyond the structural development that needs, there's many needs for renovation and for design and development. Beyond that, we really feel that there's just a big gap between the Grosse Pointe community and the downtown, injection of capital and injection of renovation and really just that entrepreneurial spirit. So when we were presented this opportunity to submit a proposal, it was a no-brainer. And we think that obviously the intention for the space and the way that EJDevCo is going about engaging the community makes a lot of sense with the way that we, run our businesses and how we like to engage the community. So I will move on from there. So this talks a little bit more, obviously, about our background. I gave you guys a little bit of information. So we take this very lightheartedly, obviously, but at Sunday's Best, we are fat kids at heart. We think that food should really be just taste amazing. It should look divine. It should absolutely, make you feel miraculous. And we, therefore have intentionally selected Eastern Market as our area for our business and our kind of channel partnership for our business as well. So partnering with local vendors, as Nico said, is one of our number one priorities. And we think that beyond that, we can also partner with with different businesses that might not necessarily fit, they might not be a produce vendor or a sausage vendor that we currently use, but they might be a local artist, like Jonathan talked about, or, a live musician that is in the local area. And we think that with this EJDevCo opportunity, specifically, we can use some of the outdoor space and some of the, street activation to not only open it up to local vendors and businesses, but also, some different independent, gig entrepreneurs, if you will. So that's what, we're always looking at. We're always looking at how we can partner with like-minded people and really how we can grow the impact in the community by serving great food that looks great and tastes great. Forgive me, there's just a little delay as I'm trying to click. So these are some of our core values, and I will not speak to all of them, but I'll just speak to a few of them. And, number one, I think really highlights the opportunity and the partnership that we're looking to create with EJDevCo and the community. So people come into your life for a reason, season, or lifetime, make each one count. I'm sure you guys have heard that before in the past, but it's something that we truly, we try to make an impact with every customer, with every business vendor, and with really every partner that we are working with on a daily basis. And find the silver lining. That's what I'm going to highlight as well. So I'll give you a little insight. We had a internal interview with the EJDevCo team, and they asked us what one thing that we have learned through 2020 and through the global pandemic has been. And I would say, I would say that no matter what you think something is going to look like, a project, part of your life, it could be personal or professional, that's not always how it pans out. And we think there's a lot of beauty in that, and a lot of beauty in going with the flow and surrendering to what, the bigger picture might be. So that's definitely something that 2020 has taught us. And it's something that, we're definitely, I think, taking into the design and the development phase of this particular property, because I'm sure that pre-pandemic, there were a lot of ideas about how this property might look or what services it might offer. And we want to engage the community, and we want to understand how that's changed for you guys and what your intentions for a space like this might really be. Is that to work? Is that to sit and have a cup of coffee? Is that to engage with other family or friends that you haven't seen in a very long time? So looking at the space in a very intentional way, and what the uses might be and offering different uses is something that is in our core values, but also that we take to each individual project that we look at. So this is a range of services that we currently offer, and this can be in kind of pre, current, and future, like where we're going as well. So you'll see on the next slide, and this is probably the most exciting, is our virtual restaurant and ghost kitchen management. So under the Sunday's Best brand, we have created, and Nico will speak to this a little bit, we have created a family of brands that all fit into our kind of ecosystem of brunch concepts. And we, from there, obviously, will use all of those brands, our Sunday's Best and the additional virtual brands, to service customers in a curbside pickup, delivery fashion. So to speak to our kind of origination and the birth of our company, the pop-up restaurant facet. So we actually, I'm sure Jonathan can speak to this too. We've actually had to turn down an opportunity for additional pop-up restaurants in some different cities around Metro Detroit, just because of staffing. So not to get too far ahead of myself, but one of the very exciting things that we are looking at for the East Jefferson development is that we will have a resource of local residents that are already engaged in the area and really excited about the new, as I think some people expressed, incubator or business accelerator idea, and that they'll not only be able to support that by being a customer, but if they are interested and aligned, they'll be able to work there and grow the business and ultimately grow themselves professionally and personally. So to go from there, just to highlight some of our other traditional services, we do drop-off catering, full service catering. We are looking at retail product management. So one of the fun things we do is make all of our sauces, all of our, even like whipped cream from scratch. We would love to be able to make those products accessible. And we think that having a retail facing opportunity at this property makes a lot of sense and can provide an additional revenue stream to the vendors, to the different restaurant partners that are inside of this property. It could be an additional growth, a growth opportunity and a revenue stream for those businesses that they might not be thinking about, but something that we are very experienced in, and we can kind of act as a best practice for them. So I'm going to turn it over to Nico and let him kind of finish out this slide because I've been talking a lot, and I'll turn it over to him, and I'll jump in, I'm sure, in a little bit.
So some of the things I just wanted to touch on this is the customer engagement in the community activation. So through our partnership with Eastern Market, we think it'd be kind of fun to have to make the location a satellite for Eastern Market's food boxes that they do. So you can order fresh produce on a weekly basis and be picked up on a specific day. And we could set a day during the week that is the produce day. So not only are you getting the prepared foods, but you could also get stuff to take home and eat as well. And really just engaging the customers with what you guys want to see out there and as things work as well. The talent acquisition and just is really one of the things that Megan's really great at is the hiring in that. Right now, things are a little bit tougher for engagement for hiring, but one of significantly more than what minimum wage and what typical restaurants pay their employees. Yeah. That is one thing that's really big to us to make us more really more of a family, and truly mean that as far as developing long-term relationships with our team members, and really to help the other chefs or vendors in the development to also reach out to the community and develop their menus in a way that allows them to offer their products at a good price, at a good value for the community, but also be able to take care of their team members as well. Went one too far, I got a little ahead of myself. So these are some of the brands that we added after Sunday's Best. And the reason why I'm showing this on here is to really show you what the possibilities are for each vendor. And one of the things is, so we started as Sunday's Best, but we specialize in French toast, and we have quiche, and we have pancakes and biscuits and waffles and all the different items. But by adding all of these online in a delivery only capacity, it allows us to be found more frequently and increase our business online through some of the delivery services. So we'd work to develop that with the other local vendors as well, and really look for to help them develop this online as well. One of the other things that we would really look to do is to combine all of them in that food hall setting and have one place online where you could actually order from any of the restaurants, or one item from one and one item from another, instead of having to go individually and purchase separately from that.
Give it a second.
No. Sorry about that, guys. And really just kind of have like a little bit of an org chart here and kind of where we see things and how to pull it all together is we obviously would operate our own vendor stall in there and really be on hands-on day-to-day with a team that we would build out of local, out of the local residents in the neighborhood, and really look there first because they know to be more involved in the community there. I apologize on this, it's getting a little bit stuck here. Yeah.
So just to speak real quick, so just go back one. There we go. Okay, so just to speak to this, the one other key team member that is not here with us tonight, her name is Colleen Brewer. She is a partner of ours through Eastern Market. She is actually the kitchen manager and kitchen facilitator for Eastern Market. She is a partner. They have developed a company called PCI Kitchen Facilitation. And so she is the one with Nico and I that would really be responsible for onboarding and a lot of the dotting the I's, crossing the T's of the documentation, the health department, all the operational procedures, the documentation, like I said, making sure that all of those things are organized and kept on site, kept accessible, and that the current restaurant partners or the vendor stalls all understand, what's expected and kind of have those best practices. So she would be the one with Nico on kind of the day-to-day overseeing the kitchen facilitation process. And what's really nice is that a part of their business is also food safety and compliance classes. So anybody, it's kind of seamless. Anybody who starts as a new employee, maybe they don't have kitchen experience, or maybe they're, not up to date on their food safety, we can facilitate that process and very easily and, without any distraction, get them up to date and all of those safety procedures checked off.
I think we're running a little short on time.
Yes, I was just going to say, I know, I have not checked my time either.
So we'll wrap.
So we will wrap this up. I think, let's see here. Next slide should be bios. Yep. Cool. So obviously, Nico explained a little bit about himself. I explained a little bit about myself. We gave you a high-level overview of Colleen. And thank you. So that's it. So we'd love to open it up for questions.
I'm gonna steal the stick from you just for a second so I can get these questions rolling. We've had a person who's been waiting patiently with their hand up, S. Miller. I'm just gonna allow you to talk and ask your question, and then we've got a few in the Q&A, so.
For sure.
S. Miller, can you unmute yourself so you can get your question in? Or if you've changed your mind and don't want to ask the question now, that's okay
Did I
too.
scare you off? I'm sorry.
Okay. So while we're waiting for S. Miller to get some control over the volume, there is a question here from Linda Bowie. She says, Megan, what is it about Detroit that you love? How long have you been in Detroit?
Okay, so that's easy. I love Detroit's grit, G-R-I-T. That is the number one thing I love about Detroit. I love when you go, so I've been fortunate to travel a little bit for work, just, around the US. And when I tell people I'm from Detroit, there's either one of two expressions. They love it or they hate it. There is not much of an in-between. And I think that that grit can go either way. So I think it can be positive or negative, but I think it's super positive, and that's what I love about Detroit.
And we've owned businesses in Detroit since 2009. And
Oh,
lived in
thank you.
Detroit,
Sorry.
And we lived in Detroit, started in 2012 for about 6 years.
Yeah, so we were
as well.
We were one of the early adopters, I call it, and we were the very first people to even get our keys in the Broderick Tower. So when that building was renovated and redeveloped in 2012, Nico and I got married in 2012. We had been in the suburbs for the majority of our lives, but we were both, actually Nico was a business owner and I was working for a company that had a satellite office in Detroit. So I've worked in Detroit since 2010, and I lived in Detroit from 2012 to 2017, end of 16, beginning of 17. And hopefully my hope and dream is that we can do well enough through business that we can eventually invest in property in the city of Detroit and continue to give back. Any other questions?
Yes.
Cool.
Have you ever reached out to prior city administrations to develop your businesses as you have presented today?
So city administrations, I'm not sure, we've obviously worked with different groups throughout the city, right, on different getting approvals for business permits, for property permits, things like that. We worked with the city of Detroit, the health department on, business licensing and operational procedures and things like that. As far as, so I was lucky enough, I worked with the city of Detroit actually a lot in a community aspect in kind of my nonprofit experience. I worked for the American Diabetes Association, and I managed large community events in the city of Detroit. So I worked a lot with the city administrations then. But as far as Sunday's Best goes, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question correctly. I'm sorry. But we have, I will just share this. We have been extremely fortunate enough that through the city of Detroit, the county, the Wayne County, the state of Michigan, and through just some federal programs, we have received funding because we are women owned, and we are, just through the different opportunities that the pandemic has provided, we have received funding through some different agencies and administrations. I hope that helps. Sorry.
Okay. And there's a question about how many Black farmers do any of the vendors use for their products? I know there are many Black farmers if the effort was made to seek them out.
So we buy a lot of our produce in the Eastern market on the Saturday markets.
Yeah.
So there are a variety of vendors we go to there, and there are definitely African-American and Caucasian and all different nationalities that sell in the Eastern market. So we kind of buy whatever the freshest produce from the freshest vendors at that time from there.
And there's another question here. I'm sorry, I'm running through them kind of fast because we're getting close to close here.
Yeah, you're good.
But there is a question here about Juneteenth. The Juneteenth celebration is coming, and they're wondering if you all are participating in Juneteenth in any kind of way.
So we have not been formally, I guess, formally identified our plans or our partnerships yet. But it is in the topic of conversation, I will say, for sure.
Question from Facebook.
Yeah.
Does Sunday's Best host pop-ups or is it a pop-up?
We host sorry.
So we do both technically. We are a pop-up restaurant that works with another vendor who brings us into different locations. And then we also are, another project we're working on is we are hosting pop-ups and bringing restaurants into that space as well.
Perfect.
Really quick, Nico.
Yeah.
I think it might be important to establish that the goal here is not for Sunday's Best to pop up in this space, right? This will be a permanent location, right? That Sunday's Best will be established out of and work with other food operators out of that space.
Absolutely, yes.
Question, Megan, as you were riding through Detroit, right now, our land is up for grabs. If your business is so great, why don't you open a grab and go restaurant in Grosse Pointe?
So that's a great question. And actually, one of the reasons that we love this property and this opportunity is because it would open us up. So there's technically a 5 to 7 mile radius, depending on what delivery platform you're using and what service provider you're partnering with. So if we were to continue, this operation and were to have an existing Sunday's Best location at this property, it would open us up to all of the Grosse Pointes for delivery. So therefore, not only Grosse Pointe, but the 5 to 7 mile radius from this particular property. So that was one of the ideas, is that, we're looking at how we can constantly expand our accessibility radius.
Yeah, one of our goals is with the ghost kitchen or the community kitchen concept is really to start with one location and kind of build all around Metro Detroit so that we could eventually have coverage through all of Southeast Michigan with our restaurant and some of our partner restaurants that we're looking to partner with as well.
Thank you. And questions are just coming through and I'm trying to answer them in written form too, so that we have records of everything.
Yeah.
Question from Facebook. What is Sunday's Best current approach to diversity as it relates to staff, hosted pop-ups, and community involvement specifically?
Yeah, so we don't think that it matters what you look like, what you wear, where you come from, what your background is, where you're going. We don't think that matters. What we think that really matters is, do you have a kind spirit? Are you, wanting to serve our customers? Are you bought into the bigger picture, the bigger intention of, the space and the project, right, specifically? And that's how we recruit. I full-heartedly believe that, Nico can teach someone how to use a fryer and how to, flip something on a flat top. I cannot teach you how to come to work every day with a positive attitude and a genuine desire to succeed in your life. And that's really what we look like, or what we look for. So we don't care what you look like or where you come from.
And our approach is really to find local people first. We find that the best people, team members really come from the neighborhood because they know what they're looking for and they're close by and kind of connected and invested in that community already. As far as some of the fundraising and community efforts that we did, I believe that was part of the question as well. My family is, for the past 39 years, well, this will be the 40th year, has really hosted a fundraiser for the Capuchin Soup Kitchen. So taking that a step further with our restaurants, what we've been doing is really, any excess food or any food that we have at the week, we do donate to different shelters and the Capuchin, the Soup Kitchen, as well. But we are starting a program where a menu item on our menu is every time it's purchased, there's a meal donated to the Capuchins, the soup kitchen as well. And once a month, we're going in and actually providing a meal for anyone in that, or for the entire service during that time.
Yeah, a breakfast for the entire, for whoever they want to invite.
Okay, thank you. I do see S. Miller's hand is still up, but they still haven't unmuted. So let me see. Gwen Peoples, you have your hand up. I'm just going to allow you to talk here and ask your question. Gwen, are you there?
Yes, I am now. Thank you, Lou.
You're welcome.
Thanks for reading my comment, because I had been putting things into the chat. We know Detroit is predominantly a Black city. And because of emergency managers, right now our land, which is one thing that Detroit has, that is up for grabs. People all over are coming in, buying up and taking land, doing things that they want to do that they wouldn't even do in their own city. For instance, the grab and go, and then shopping for people in the market for you to come pick up your grab and go, get some market food and keep it moving. This kind of style, if something were so good, I think we should always start at home first. Get your restaurant where you live, where you work, make it successful and come here. You're coming here doing things only because the land is up for grabs. Thank you, Lou.
You're welcome. I don't know if you guys have something to say here.
Yeah, the one thing I will say on that is I completely understand where you're coming from. We look at, and instead of buying land and doing in the city of Detroit and trying to take it over and change something there, we really were excited because EJDevCo is doing such an awesome job engaging the community, and we really want to be part of that, and really part of someone who's investing in the community and really taking the steps necessary to put something in there for the long term, not just a quick dollar today. And yes, there is properties that could be purchased. We could put stuff in a lot of different locations, but I really feel that this is a project in an area that is really, could be really unique and really cool, and a cool model for other areas as well.
Thank you, Nico and Megan. We're going to move on. We've got a few questions that are still outstanding, but we will make sure to respond to those questions and get them out to the larger group since we have everybody's email address. And we'll get that information out and we'll make sure that's publicly available for everyone. I want to get to our announcements. Again, Election Buddy. At this point, everyone who has been registered, and there's a lot of people who have been registered, you should be able to review the proposals. Both proposals are on EJDevCo.com. You'll just go to EJDevCo.com and click on the master plan. There's literally two tabs, one that says Operator 1 and Operator 2. You can go and look at them and read them and take your time and think about it. My personal recommendation is that if you've got a good feel already, that you go in and vote. So just log in with the information that was sent via text or email and vote. The voting opened at 7 p.m. We've already got people who have voted. I would encourage you to vote now. We will be open through midnight on 5/24. If you still need to register, go onto the website, look at those operators. There's a button there at the beginning of their presentations that says register here. You can click on that, it'll take you right in to register. Registration will shut down at noon on Sunday. So you've got a couple of days to figure that out. Noon on Sunday, just jump on, register, we will get you registered, and then we'll get the information back to us. Hopefully we can get as many votes as we can. I'm gonna skip through here because this is familiar information. If you've got any questions, definitely contact me. My email address is lsanifu, LSANIFU @EJDevCo.com. And this is my direct line number. You call this number, you get me. There's no filter. We've done the questions, so I'm going to get to the announcements really quick. And we're going to start with Josh. Hi, Josh.
Hey, everybody. Great to see everyone. Hats off to the EJDevCo team and all the presenters and all of you for asking very, very insightful and pointed questions. So I thank you for that. Quick update here. We continue our COVID support and recovery efforts. Wayne Bradley, the head of Detroit Community Health Connection, is a longtime Jefferson East board member. And so they are now offering COVID vaccines at all of the Detroit Community Health Connections locations across the east side, even some on the west side. So right up there in Jefferson, you can go up to the East Riverside Health Center and get your COVID vaccine. Two numbers you can call. You can contact Detroit Community Health Connection at 313-365-1840, or you can also call the City of Detroit COVID vaccination hotline for information about the Samaritan Center, the TCF Center. That number is 313-230-0505. In addition, our Public Safety AmeriCorps, in collaboration with the City of Detroit, will be doing door-to-door outreach in Jefferson Chalmers to make people aware of all of the COVID-19 vaccine resources available right up on Jefferson and in your neighborhood. So thank you to everyone who's helping on this. I think next, the City of Detroit is having a FEMA floodplain management meeting a week from today at 7 p.m. FEMA will be presenting the City of Detroit, and they'll be talking about efforts surrounding the process to work to get the Jefferson Chalmers neighborhood out of the floodplain. This is a very, very important meeting. I would encourage everyone to attend this meeting, ask questions about what the city's plan is, when their study is going to be done on what needs to be done to get out of the floodplain. And so I would just encourage everyone to attend this meeting next Thursday at 7 p.m. on May 27th. And for more information, you can email Ray Scott at the City of Detroit. Big issue we continue to keep our finger on, but we need your voices to be heard at this meeting. And please ask as forthright and probing questions that you asked tonight at the floodplain meeting of the city. I encourage you to do that. And I will be asking questions as well. Anyway, that's about it, Lou. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody. And great to see Ms. Foster on the call too. Hey, Paulette, good to see you.
Thanks, Josh. Just a little heads up, the Lennox Center in A.B. Ford Park is going to have another community event, the final community celebration, which is going to be held Thursday, June 17th. So mark your calendar. That's going to be from 5 to 7:30 p.m. on the Lennox side. Great opportunity to get out and see what the city is doing with this particular site. And there'll be more to come about this. So just keep an ear to the ground because we'll be putting more information out about that. Additionally, Streets for People is still happening. If you've got an opportunity to check out the website and put your information on what you want the city to do for your transportation needs in the city of Detroit, please visit detroitmi.gov, Streets for People. Don't panic if you can't write all this stuff down fast enough. This is all going to be posted on our EJDevCo Mainstreet Masterplan for Jefferson Chalmers. So it'll be on the website. You'll be able to go back and look at this stuff. And there'll be links. And of course, that's our website. So EJDevCo.com, super easy. Our next community meeting is going to be June 17th. That's the third Thursday of June from 6 to 7:30 p.m. We are going to do a lot of new things in this coming meeting. There's a possibility of having the results back, hopefully from the information that you all are providing us tonight, where we can share with the community what you've told us. We want to be fully transparent. So we'll be having that and just keep an ear out, but mark this date on your calendar, and the link will be on our website. And assuming there are no other questions that I need. Oh, voting closes on the 24th, midnight on the 24th. So if on the 24th you wake up, you've got all day. If you wait until 11:59 and you click send, your vote will get in. On the 25th, it won't be available. So that's for the anonymous attendee that had that question. And then Javette, you said you're having trouble trying to vote. It's asking you to register. So if you're having trouble voting, then you should register. And the registration, I'll put that, let me put that in the link again, in the chat again real quick, because the registration is the key part. We often have community members ask us, who's voting? Why is it just random people voting? So what we've done is we've set up this voting system, and I'll set this for everyone to see so that people can register, so we can say, okay, yep, this is who it is that's voting. It's not a bot, it's not a random person, it is Javette. And Javette's voting one time, so it's not me stuffing the ballot box, it's not weighted, everybody is putting theirs in one time. So hopefully that helps. Javette, if you run into any problems, reach out to me directly and I'll follow up, because this is something that I'm working on. And I want to be, we're 10, 11 minutes over, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So we will follow up with any other questions at a later time. And thank you all for coming. And thank you, Sunday's Best and DSC Hospitality for presenting for us. And thank you, Josh, for your announcements, and Derek for your leadership, and everyone who was here tonight. Thanks for coming, guys.
Lou, and thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Good night, everybody. Appreciate you.
That's all.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thanks.
How do I